Well, modern technology is supposed to make our lives easier and freer. That's the promise. Increasingly, though, some suspected that gadgets we use every day are becoming tools to control us. A recent piece in Wired magazine is worth reading, and it captures this phenomenon and the threat of it. It describes what's happening in China right now under its social rating system. Here's the lead of the piece. Quote, "A friend of mine who runs a large television company in the CarMad city of Los Angeles recently noticed that his intern, an aspiring filmmaker from the People's Republic of China, was walking to work. When he offered to arrange a swifter mode of transportation, she declined. He asked why. She explained that she, quote, needed the steps on her Fitbit to sign in to her social media accounts. If she fell below the right number of steps, it would lower her health and fitness rating, and that's part of her social rating, which is monitored by the government of China. A low social rating could prevent her from working or traveling abroad," unquote. That's what's going on there. Author and columnist Mark Stein joins us tonight. So, Mark, I'm not paranoid by temperament, but it seems like this regimen in the world's most populous country might be getting more attention than it is in this country. It's getting no attention. Right. And that makes me nervous. Why do you think our press is ignoring this?
Well, I think you're right to be nervous. Tocqueville, actually, 2 centuries ago, Alexis de Tocqueville in Democracy in America asked this question. He said that theoretically in Europe, the king wielded absolute power, but in practice he couldn't actually do much about it because he was in his palace hundreds of miles away and you're in your hovel, and once every half decade a pantalooned emissary might show up in your dooryard and give you a hard time about something, but for the rest of the time you got on with your life undisturbed by his absolute power. And Tocqueville wondered what would happen if the administrative state evolved to the point where it could control every aspect of social life and individual existence. And with 3 companies now, Amazon, Google, YouTube, and Facebook, we're now seeing dangerous signs in China, in Europe, and in the United States of the alliance between big government and big tech. And big government plus big tech does equal Big Brother 24/7.
So what are the ways presumably, like everything, these things start in a subtle way. So the Fitbit example from the People's Republic of China doesn't seem at first blush authoritarian. They're not forcing you to believe anything. They just want you to, be fit because like cardio health is really important. And if you want health insurance, you're going to get your steps. But that is authoritarian.
Yes, it is, and I think it's worth thinking about how quickly our thinking has evolved on this. If you remember, after 9/11, the left made a huge fuss because President Bush was supposedly monitoring what library books people checked out of public libraries. Now, not a lot of people actually check out books at public libraries. The public library system is dying. But as we objected to that just 15 years ago, we're now completely okay with the fact that everybody wears an electronic ankle bracelet that lets people know where you are on the planet any hour of the day. That's a thing called what we used to call a telephone. A telephone now tracks your movements, and the 3 companies that are the principal repositories of that information, for example, Amazon's deal with the CIA and the NSA here, Google's design of a kind of knowledge, access to knowledge compliant with the Chinese Politburo. In Europe, Monsieur Macron and Angela Merkel meeting with Facebook to decide how the bounds of free speech that Facebook will permit during election seasons. The left and what's left of the non-internet media are absolutely silent on this and the threat it represents.
So when Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, says, in effect, if you don't agree with my politics, if you dare to oppose me, you can't do business in the state of New York. You can't bank. That's what he's done to the NRA in the state of New York. Why wouldn't that become universal?
Well, I think that's right. I mean, we actually talk about Amazon, for example, just started off as an online book competitor with Borders. It then put Borders out of business, and it's now becoming essentially a retail outlet, a one-stop retail outlet for the world. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the way that these companies are now actually developing an alternative to money. So people think, oh, it seems ostensibly quite sensible to say, oh, let's give up checkbooks and let's give up paper money. But essentially what that means is that every time you spend $4.75 on a cup of coffee at Starbucks, that the state actually knows where you are
exactly,
and that transaction. And that's leading us. I mean, we now live in an age where Big Brother is following you. And unlike George Orwell, we have largely accepted that.
Why were the Luddites wrong? And that'll be the topic next week when you come back. I'm not sure they were. Mark Stein, great to see you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.